Okay, we'll start off. The topic of war on drugs is a very controversial subject, which has many ways to look at it. But let's start looking at some points here, which I think are crucial. First of all, um, eliminate criminal activities within the marketplace, and the market of drugs is in demand, letting millions of people who demand illicit drugs, which making the production, supply, and use of some drugs illegal creates a vacuum into um, which organizes crimes. The profits and worth are worth billions of pounds. The annexation forces organized crimes for the drug trade, starves starves them of income and enables us to regulate the control of the market. For example, such as prescriptions, licensing, or controlling the sales to minors, and regulation of advertising. Also, it will reduce massively the crime rate. The price of illegal drugs is determined by a demand-led, unregulated market. Using illegal drugs is very expensive, which means that some people are dependent users of a drug, so they eventually can't afford it because it's too expensive. So it leads for them to start stealing to raise that money, and most of the violence associated with illegal drugs of the is associated with illegal drugs usage, and legalizing would enable us to regulate the market, determine a much lower price, and remove users. Users need to raise funds through crime. Our legal system would be freed up and our prison population dramatically reduced, saving billions of dollars. Because of the low price, cigarette smokers do not have to steal to support their habits. There is also no violence associated with the legal tobacco market. This is an example that um, legalizing is the best way to go because there will eventually no more. It will reduce crime eventually. And as stated in a book called Drugs and Drug Policy, what everyone needs to know, policy analysts Mark Clement, Jonathan Caucus, and Angela Hawken argue that imprisoning low-ranking street corner dealers is pointless. A $200 transaction can cost society $100,000 for a 3-year sentence, and imprisoning large numbers of dealers produces an army of people who, emerging from prison with blinding employment prospects, can only deal drugs. Which is why, although a few years ago in Washington, D.C., dealers earned an average of $30 an hour, today they earn less than the federal minimum wage. And also, um, recent recent research shows that nearly half of all 15 to 16-year-olds have used an illegal drug. Up to 1.5 million people use ecstasy every weekend. Amongst young people, illegal drugs is seen as normal. Intensifying the war on drugs is not reducing demand. In Holland, where cannabis laws are far less harsh, drug usage is amongst the lowest in Europe. As my partner stated in the video before, um, as the example she gave, talking about um, Portugal, where legalizing the drug actually reduces the drug addiction rate because it's already legal, so it's not as fun for them to be rebellious and start using more drugs. However, the illegal drug market makes up 8% of all world trade, which is around 300 billion euros per year, and whole countries are under the corrupting influence of drug cartels. Prohibition also enables developed countries to wield vast political power over producer nations under the auspices of drug control programs. Legalization returns lost revenues to the legitimate tax economy and removes some of the high-level corruption. It also removes a tool of political interference by foreign countries against producer nations. And as stated in the WashingtonPost.com. It says that in developed nations, cocaine sells for about $3,000 per ounce, almost twice the price of gold, and the supply of cocaine, unlike the gold, can be cheaply and quickly expanded. But in the countries where cocaine and heroin are produced, they sell for about 1% of the retail price in the United States. If cocaine were legalized, a 2,000 kilogram could be FedEx from Colombia for less than $50 and sold profitably for a small markup from its price in Colombia, and a $5 rock of crack might cost 25 cents. Criminalizing drives the cost of smuggled kilogram in the United States up to $20,000, but then it retails for more than $100,000. So, which basically saying that the U.S. would benefit way so much on legalizing these drugs, and could even make up so much money to lead out of its debt. Also, prohibition has not been shown to work. There is no evidence to show that prohibition is succeeding. The question we must ask ourselves is, what are the benefits of criminalizing any drug? If after examining all the available evidence we find that cost outweighs the benefits, then we must seek an alternative policy. Legalizing is not a cure-all, but it does allow us to address many of the problems associated with drug use, and those created by prohibition. The time has come for an effective and programmatic drug policy, and that's basically it. Reasons why drugs should be legalized. Thanks.